Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 15, Episode 70. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Thursday, Steelers Nation, as Dave and I are reacting to the Wednesday Christmas Day loss by the Pittsburgh Steelers, 29-10 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Pittsburgh dropping to 10-6 on the season, their third straight loss. Would like to say Merry Christmas to everyone. I know it's not maybe as merry and cheery as it could have been and hopefully was expected to be or hoped to be yesterday, as Pittsburgh playing on Christmas Day. And unfortunately, a big lump of coal instead of a gift, Dave. So a lot to talk about. Most of it the same as we've talked about in the past, and none of it good.
Time to warm up the pipes on this Thursday morning here. I guess people are probably expecting it. I think you even got a listener email wanting the full version of it. So gloom, despair, and agony on me, deep, dark depression, excessive misery. Whoa, if I had no bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Oh, gloom, despair, and agony on me. Oh, not bad for first thing in the morning. Couple cups of coffee there. It's sad that I got to sing that again, but yeah, I could get into Blue Christmas here now, but probably
the whole album at this point.
Yeah, we could do a lot of sad Christmas songs at this at this point. Yeah, look, I thought they would have given them a better game. You know, obviously I predicted them to win. I thought, overall they matched up pretty well, and Kansas City hadn't really blown anybody out this year. Been in a lot of close games, and figured Tomlin have them a little bit better prepared, even though on short week and all like that. It was even though there was a point in the game. I think even starting the fourth quarter, it was a touchdown game or so, one possession game. It really didn't feel that close. And you and I had talked about red zone, go rolling back all through the red zone numbers on defense there, going all the way back to the bye week, and they certainly didn't get any better in that phase of the game there. And you kind of wondered if got a couple red stops in this game, how it would have changed the complexion. But the fact is, you're not going to beat anybody in the NFL scoring 10 points, either. So. We got to recap it, though. That's what we do. So I'll let you decide where we start here.
Yeah, just quick housekeeping information here from an injury standpoint, health standpoint. Several players who had missed time returned for this game, including George Pickens, DeShon Elliott, Larry Ogunjobi, and Dante Jackson. Justin Fields held out for a second game with that abdominal injury. Joey Porter Jr. with the knee. Ben Skoranek with the hip did not play. Only one notable in-game injury per Tomlin after the game. That was Cam Heyward with an ankle, but he did return. So I assume he'll be good to go for the regular season finale in now 10 days against the Bengals. Inactive standpoint, because the team had some healthy scratches, some interesting names who did not dress. That includes Preston Smith, the outside linebacker, and Dean Lowry, the defensive lineman.
Yeah, I had a feeling Dean Lowry would not dress. I kind of wonder which way they would go with that last inactive there, because you kind of wondered because you're down a special teams guy in Ben Skoranek in this, and I chose Jeremiah Moon. I thought maybe he would not get a helmet, but he does have special teams value, obviously. Preston Smith does not, so they chose to sit Preston Smith in this one, in lieu of Jeremiah Moon, I imagine, for the special teams contributions there. So that was really the only surprise on the inactive list, and I think we kind of got a pretty good idea that Justin Fields, even though he was questionable, was probably going to be inactive as the emergency quarterback, and the others were kind of self-explanatory there.
The only, not that anyone really cares, and it's not a concern, but the only interesting note I have for the inactives is Preston Smith, by not dressing yesterday, he cannot reach 18 games in a single season, which is something very few players have ever done, obviously with a 17-game schedule and getting traded before the Packers bye week. So now only Mike Williams is on pace to play 18 games in a season, which would be, in the modern era since World War II, only the second player to ever do so. Leonard Williams did so last year. No one cares about that, I understand, but just one little
We
stat of the
do.
weird. Yeah, one little stat of the weird is my Christmas gift to you all, because the Steelers sure did not hand out any gifts except the ones to Kansas City. They gifted a win 29 to 10, as you said, the Chiefs' biggest win of the season. Pittsburgh's third straight loss by double digits, the first time that has happened since 1988, only the second time that's occurred since the 1970 merger. And so Pittsburgh, another 3-game losing streak for the 7th straight season, Dave. Pittsburgh has experienced a 3-game losing streak at some portion of the season. I believe the stat is 5 of the last 7 Decembers that's occurred. Of course, Pittsburgh was on that 3-game skid late last year before winning their final 3, will not win their final 3 this year. Clearly no longer in first place in the AFC North by virtue of the Ravens rolling the Texans 31-2, which was not even scoregami. I couldn't even get scoregami on this day. That score has happened twice before, if you can believe it, 31-2. And so Pittsburgh's path to win the North, as much as people will laugh at the notion of that happening, Pittsburgh would have to beat the Bengals, and the Ravens would have to lose to the Cleveland Browns for that to occur. If not, then Pittsburgh will be a wild card team, and we'll see where they will go on the road for, as the NFL likes to call it, super wild card weekend. So, Dave, really, it's more of the same. I feel like we do this at some point of every single season in a podcast where it's like we're repeating the same issues as last time, offensively, not taking care of the football, especially in the red area, critical moments, offensively not getting takeaways, communication bust, tackling a bit better, I suppose, but just really not playing a good game on any side of the football.
Yeah, and in this 3-game span, you knew it was going to be tough, even when the schedule was released. But you would have thought that they would have showed up a little bit better in any one of these games. They didn't. Outscored 90-40 in over this 3-game span. On top of it, there, and they haven't been ready for any one of these 3 games. And then now, as you stated, I mean, the wild card, I mean, the AFC North is gone now at this point. It would you got 2 things. One of the 2 things is very unlikely to happen, and that's the Ravens losing to the Browns, even though they did get beat by them earlier in the season, I suppose, on any given Sunday. But the second thing is now too, and we'll see what happens in this game. I'll be tuned in just because I'm a football fan, and I think it's going to be a good game. The Bengals against the Broncos, but if the Bengals win that game, they're still going to be in this thing going into the final week. And Joe Burrow, even though the Steelers won that first meeting against the Bengals, Joe Burrow did some good things in that game, and they would obviously have something to play for. And the Steelers are on a downward trend right now as well too. And yes, the Steelers have a playoff spot clinched, and they've had it clinched for a while now. But you damn sure don't want to go into a playoffs playing the way a 4th game playing like you've played in these last 3. So they got to take a hard about the only good thing to come out of all this is it's over. that 3-game
Truthfully,
that 3-game stretch is now over with. The second thing, I suppose, is you get a lot of time here to lick your wounds and get back in the lab, as they like to say, and try to solve some of these things. You get to sit around and watch the Bengals play and get a head start on that game. Not that these 2 teams don't know each other by now, but it's very depressing, and more non-complimentary football that we saw against the Chiefs, and The Chiefs didn't do anything really overly exotic on the offensive side of football. They just executed and got the ball out. The Steelers, in the chances that once again that the ball was on the ground or up in the air, they couldn't get it. You lose the turnover battle 2-0 to the Chiefs. Not many teams in the NFL are going to beat the Chiefs when that happens, and then just the communication breakdowns. One thing they did do good was, at least on third down, we talked a lot about third downs. They held the Chiefs to 30%, 3 of 10, but the problem was they didn't get them in enough third downs. Only 10 third downs in the game, and we knew that the Chiefs were probably going to at least move the football at times in this game. And we talked a lot about the red zone, and they couldn't stop them in the red zone. So, yeah, very, very, very depressing game.
Before we even talk about what transpired on the field at Acrisure Stadium itself, I don't want to say it strikes me the most, but it certainly was some of the most notable post-game commentary from this team the entire season, whether that's DeShon Elliott in his first game back, venting his frustration, saying the guys can't be so effing wide open, that guys aren't freaking doing their job. Whether that's Patrick Queen saying no one's fixing things, no one's adjusting, no one's trying to fix the problem, to DeShon Elliott again talking about that the Chiefs made adjustments and the Steelers did not. Obviously, you feel the weight of the frustration, especially on the defensive side of the football. Do you think that's just the venting of a team losing 3 in a row, or is this speaking to bigger problems with either the coaching staff, the players, the locker room, or all the above?
I think it can really be all the above there. I mean, this has not been a great 3-game stretch, and to hear a guy that even has not, look, I think DeShon Elliott's been for the most part a really good player for this defense this year, and but let's face it, he hasn't been around this team for more than just this season, and for him to have to come out, really almost take a leadership role and say some of these things that probably a lot of them are thinking, probably gives a true temperature of what's going on behind doors, other than just the Cam Heyward coming out saying we played like shit, and Queen hasn't even been here for this is his first season as well too. So and then you look at the tape and you look at some of the body language after some of these plays, and the palms up,
Mm-hmm.
And not just in the red zone either. I picked out one play last night on a completion to Travis Kelce where both Patrick Queen and Elena Roberts are going to cover the same guy there, and they keep talking about that how they keep talking about miscommunication issues, and nobody's fixing it. Is it? And then you have Elliott saying basically that they really didn't make any adjustments at the half there. That points a lot of fingers in a lot of different directions, coaches included.
Mm-hmm. It does, and everyone deserves blame, obviously, when you lose 3 games. Not just lose 3 games, but to do so in uncompetitive fashion. If Pittsburgh been able to win even just one of these games against any of these 3 quality opponents, the Eagles, the Ravens, or the Chiefs, obviously would have loved to beat the Ravens and clinch the division. But even if just putting that aside, pick any of these 3 games, and if Pittsburgh could show they can, beat at least one of those teams, and there at least some sort of proof of concept that you can hang with, the best of the best in the AFC and the NFC and the Eagles. And not only did Pittsburgh lose all 3, they were just thoroughly outplayed and outclassed, whether they were outmuscled by the Eagles and the Ravens, or just really, I think, outschemed and just consistently one step behind Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs. And so that really, reveals a lot about this team and where they're at, and more importantly, where they have to go.
And look, this is a team anyway, because of the way they're built, they really have to be a sound 3-phase team week in, week out. Complementary football, yeah, you can throw that term around almost in any game, but it's not like they have an offense that you feel confident about from a complete quality of player perspective that's going to go out and throw up 30 points a game and all like that. So they do have to be very opportunistic, complementary defense, holding the score down, getting the takeaway timely, takeaways when they're there to be gotten. Special teams has got to not give up some big returns, and if one of those phases go out of whack, then they're probably going to be on the wrong side of it. If 2 of the 3 go out of whack, they're more likely going to lose. And then if you have the case really, which was yesterday, where you just don't play well in all 3 phases of the game, well, you're definitely going to lose, especially against teams like Ravens and the Eagles and the Chiefs. Yesterday there. So they had their opportunities to get a couple of takeaways. Kudos to Mark Robinson for forcing another fumble, and the ball once again didn't bounce the right way, and you had a ball up in the air that went right through Patrick Queen's hands on top of it. If you're not getting those kind of takeaways, especially in a game like this, you're gonna come out on the wrong side of it. And they need to take a hard look in that locker room, going into the playoffs now on all 3 phases. And you heard want to being thrown around by, I think, Alex Highsmith, and TJ Watt's press conference was only like 2 minutes and something. Minka didn't even want to apparently talk to the media. They got more questions than they do answers. And the funny thing is you coming out of Hard Knocks and all, and Mike Tomlin saying, my job's to give the answers to the test to these guys beforehand. Well, he's not doing a good enough job, or they're getting the wrong answers. These kind of things, and the players even said it. You would expect these kind of things to happen first, week 1, week 2, week 3 of the season, but you get late in this season, you're having and you got basically the full complementary of your defense back for this game against the Chiefs. Even rookie Beanie Bishop didn't even play any defensive snaps in this game, and you're having these communication breakdowns and not being able to get lined up properly and getting fooled by quick game and motions and all like that. Once again, props to the Chiefs. They did what they do. I didn't see a whole heck of a lot on tape that was overly surprising to me, but damn, did they execute.
Yeah, they did, clearly at a much, much higher level than what Pittsburgh is capable of right now. Yeah, Beanie Bishop's not, in a sense, surprisingly, with 0 defensive snaps in this game, but it's like the Bengals game where you're facing a high-level quarterback. They wanted, I think, Cam Sutton out there to try to be able to match and, spin that dial, as Tomlin says, try to run with more coverages and have some veterans out there. Not saying that Sutton played well. I don't think he really did overall, but that was, I think, the intent behind it. And they played a little less nickel. They were able to bring back their 3 safety package with Elliott's return to face some of those 12 tight end sets the Chiefs like to run. And so that's kind of just an explanation of why Beanie Bishop did not play snap. They did not play a single snap at dime. Pittsburgh did not in this game. And so they tried to have more certain sub packages leaning away from Bishop. And then they wanted to lean on Cam Sutton's veteran status. We'll see that continues versus the Bengals. Remember, Cam Sutton played a lot in that first Bengals game, and Beanie Bishop only played in dime. We'll see if that's a take 2 for the finale. Let's start kind of focusing in on one side of the football, and let's just stay with Pittsburgh's defense, Dave. Again, the issues are the same. They're not earth-shattering. They're not breaking news information to anyone who's watched this team the last 11 days, 12 days, whatever it is now. Communication issues, not getting the red zone stops, leaving those tight ends wide open. It really is more of the same. But I just thought, Pittsburgh's biggest potential counter in this game was going to be their pass rush to win against some of those beat up Chiefs offensive tackles and some of the changes they've had to make. And the Chiefs had such a great game plan to get the ball out quick, to be in rhythm, to lean on the RPO game, and really never allow that Steelers rush to get home. I think Mahomes' snap to throw time was one of the quickest he's had maybe the entire season. And when they got into a rhythm, Pittsburgh just literally had 0 answers. The opening drive of the first half, the opening drive of the second half, maybe the second drive of the second half. I mean, Pittsburgh just was just literally just sitting back and watching it happen. They had zero counter to the Chiefs once they got into rhythm and leaned on the RPO game and the swing game and all that kind of stuff where Pittsburgh was just completely at their mercy.
Yeah, you throw in too Patrick Mahomes making a couple of Patrick Mahomes plays, which are probably going to happen in no matter how good your defense is in some games. But I talked we talked before this game too. They love working that perimeter too, right? With that with the quick game with the RPOs, and they did this and outside of and we also talked about how Mahomes really doesn't throw the football down the field much. I think he came into this game with in the last four with completing something like two more than 20 yards down the field. He did pop them early down the right side with a deep ball against Dante Jackson, and Dante Jackson looking for the football instead. Not that it probably would have made a difference in the play, but at least you give you a better chance maybe of getting, getting involved in the catch point, at least putting a little pressure on who was that?
Justin Watson,
Justin Watson,
the hometown kid.
Yeah, down the right side there. You give up a big play in that situation there. They really just paper cut them to death along with that big play early, and they couldn't get out on the edges quick enough, couldn't make good enough tackles, couldn't force enough third downs throughout this game. On top of it, they did a great job against the run game. Not that we talked about how really it wasn't as intimidating that Chiefs run game, but the Chiefs didn't have to run. They pretty much had a manufactured perimeter quick run game through the pass and reading. Mahomes did a great job on a couple of those quick pop passes on the RPO on some slants, waiting on that first guy to clear at the second level, and they left Kelsey uncovered a couple of times, made it easy on him, and on a couple of times where it looked like they did have Mahomes in the pocket. I think one in particular on Cam Heyward looked for sure that he was going to get a sack there, and Mahomes was able to step up, and I think that was one where he hit Kelsey as well. So when you got a quarterback getting the football out as quick as he was in this game, it's going to make it that much harder to get pressure. And if you're not keeping a quarterback like Mahomes behind the chains in second and long or third and long situations too, that's another situation where you're not going to be able to get after the quarterback.
You're right. The Chiefs didn't have a traditional run game, but their run game was that quick game, that RPO game. Because a swing pass to Xavier Worthy or a screen to Travis Kelce's an extension of the run game. It's high percentage, and it's going to get you more yards than just trying to run up the middle with Pacheco. There's a little quirk in my charting that I reference sometimes, and you guys have the information in that spreadsheet where sometimes for some pass plays in terms of the rush and blitz I have not available, and what that often means is that it's an RPO, and so there's really no true pass rush. Yeah, and so that kind of gets you a sense of some of those kind of basically it's almost RPO type of moments where there's really no clear defined pass rush. And so in this Chiefs game, I have NA charted 8 times in this game. That's the most of any team against Pittsburgh this season, and Mahomes was 6 of 8 for, let me get the yardage on that, 43 yards, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it was 6 of those 8 came on 1st and 10, and they were almost all successful. Only one of those first down, which RPOs essentially were incomplete. I think it was the one that Cam Sutton knocked away. And so that really got them, easy yards on first down. I got 4 yards, 6 yards, 6 yards, 13 yards, 5 yards, 9 yards on the second and 4. And so that really was their run game. It doesn't always really count as run stats. They're credited to Mahomes as completions and receptions, but they really, the Chiefs had the answers to the test, to kind of use your phrase from earlier, where they were not going to just run the ball with Pacheco. They were going to use the RPO game. They were going to put Pittsburgh in conflict. They were going to slow down that pass rush. They were going to make this a horizontal game, which is really what they've done the entire season. But Pittsburgh, again, had zero answers for that. They could not get these guys behind the sticks and put them in third and long situations. And the Chiefs controlled the game from start to finish.
And then once again, even though it's coming with what they do, okay, the Chiefs have moved the football all year down the field. And most of the time they've been able to overcome inefficiencies of pushing the football down the field by converting their third downs. But the Steelers weren't even getting them in enough third downs. The way the Steelers were going to win this game was to get red zone stops, keep the score down, and then control the ball and score on offense. And they obviously didn't do any of that. And then when you get in the red zone specifically, man, on that first touchdown to Worthy, they broke the huddle, and from the time they snapped the ball, the Steelers didn't know what they wanted. There was confusion on the defensive side of football to start with, and then they get outflanked real quick. I mean, from the time they broke the snap to the time they snapped football was what, 3 seconds, if that. You get outflanked, and then you get beat to the corner of the end zone there. The second touchdown, good. Couldn't get good enough pressure on that. You leave the corner route to Watson. Who was beat on that? Was that Pierre? Pierre on that one there. So I guess that was a little bit more forgivable one of all of them. The third one was the Hunt touchdown run, and then the fourth one was just, I mean, I don't even know what happened there. I mean, they had 2 deep safeties and then 5 under. Was that Cam Sutton supposed to go with Kelsey on that, or was Queen?
Your guess is good as mine, and probably the Steelers defense is guessing too. Not sure who the heck's supposed to do what based on the body language and reactions from that play and so many others. And so, yeah, you've seen, I mean, 3 of the tight ends have caught 3 touchdown passes the last 2 games, Dave, and they've all essentially been wide open, uncontested plays. The Likely catch, the Andrews touchdown, and then the Kelsey touchdown. So, yeah, red zone play, horrific, and it's now finally coming to light. We've talked about it off and on, over the last couple of weeks, Dave. We've talked about it extensively prior to the Chiefs game, but Pittsburgh's red zone defense has completely melted down from being one of the best the first half of the season to one of the worst the second half of the season. Since the bye, opponents are, in terms of converting touchdowns, they're 23 of 33 in the red zone. That's 70%. And again, take away that one Eagles, where they just kneeled the ball down at the end of that one on the 21 play drive, that goes up to, 72%. And so Pittsburgh is not getting stops in the red area. It is by far their biggest issue. And as you said, the Chiefs came into this game with a pretty poor red zone offense. They weren't lighting it up, and they certainly lit it up in this one.
Yeah. Once again, and the Steelers start slow on the other side of football, and the way you beat teams like the Chiefs is you jump on them, get the third down, get as many third down stops as you can, or at least get them in as many third downs as possibly can, and then stop them in the red zone. And yeah, they didn't do any of that. I mean, they damn near had 400 total net yards of offense, and that would have made 3 consecutive games that would have happened. The Chiefs even committed more penalties and tried to give the Steelers a few opportunities to get off field. One of them was like a second and 17 or 13, and then they converted on one of those there, and just blown, not just a blown coverage in the red zone areas either. I think there's at least 2 or 3 other times on tape that you can firmly see. And look, the Chiefs actually missed some plays, I think, too, on a couple of busts that Mahomes didn't connect on.
And there was a 4th down conversion that was called back, and some other, unsportsmanlike conduct stuff. One of them that led to a missed extra point. And so they really should have had 30 in this game too. Not that it all really matters too much. It just comes down to the basic building blocks and fundamentals of football in terms of communication and situational football and capitalizing on opportunities. And Pittsburgh really was just completely outclassed. There really isn't any other way to go about it. They tried to lean on, like I said, that 3 safety, that kind of big nickel package. They barely played any other base 3-4 in this one. I think it's one reason why Lowry was inactive. They knew they didn't need as many defensive linemen in this game. But when you have no pass rush and the Chiefs are really dictating pace, in all 3 of these games, really the opponent has dictated the pace and the tempo and the flow of the game. Pittsburgh's just been playing at best catch up, but at worst just completely lagging behind.
The to come out of some of the beat writers after the game, fingers are they're close to wanting to point some fingers at maybe one or two specific people. If it was a player on defense, who would that player be?
I'm not really sure. I can't point to any one person. There have been so many issues and breakdowns. I mean, you start in terms of personnel, you look at the hub of communication, and that's Patrick Queen. Are there things that he can do better to help, clear communication? It's not all on him, but that's where it starts if you want to have that player conversation. I think there are some things he can do. Remember, I talked about that play against Baltimore where Peyton Wilson didn't know what he was doing on that 1-3 linebacker package, and Queen is not assisting at all on that particular play. So just one snapshot, and maybe Queen able to do more to help figure this stuff out. But beyond that, I can't point to it. Maybe there is one person. It's probably more than that, but I just, when you have miscommunication, it can be really hard from us on the outside to know what went wrong, try to guess at what the error was, and so that makes specific finger pointing difficult.
How do you think Minkah played in this game? I've rolled through the D22, but I don't think you have yet.
Just the TV tape charting it last night. I mean, on the touchdown to Worthy, you're late reacting in the flat, and I forget if it was our Tyler Wise or Tom Mee that said, if you see Worthy line up at running back, it's got to be some alarms that start going off about his potential involvement, and it's all over the tape on early downs, him on end arounds, him on those swing RPOs. They want to get him the ball on first down. That was a second down play, but the point is, you see a wide receiver of his caliber in the backfield, you got to really pay special attention to that. He did have a couple nice plays. The one cut of the crosser on third down for a tackle there. Trying to think what other plays he might have had in this game, but up and down type of game.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he did, and there was a point in the middle of the game where they made a couple of tackles. I think Trice had one, and then Queen had one. You're thinking, okay, maybe they're sorting some things out a little bit here, but it wasn't enough.
No, it was a temporary couple of nice plays there, which they were nice plays. Although on that one that Queen had, like Cam Sutton, do you want to help out at all? Just kind of standing there watching. So that kind of stuff. Again, I think energy, body language, as you said, pretty poor in this one. I thought it was poor against Baltimore. It carried over into this short week against Kansas City. And yeah, I know it's a tough schedule for Pittsburgh to do 3 games, 11 days, but the Ravens did it. They went 3-0. The Chiefs did it. They went 3-0. Yep. The Eagles are 1-1. If they beat the Cowboys on Sunday, they're 2-1. And so Pittsburgh was not unique in that 3 games, 11 days, difficult as it is. And yeah, Pittsburgh probably has the toughest schedule of it all. But sorry, if you want to be a good team, you can't be making excuses about schedules and at least win one of these games. So again, have that proof of concept that you can beat at least one of these, high caliber type of teams. So there's no blaming of the schedule here that should be given as a pass, an excuse for Pittsburgh anymore.
What did you think about, was it Elliott that said, we're communicating, but people just aren't in the right place or doing their job? I forget the exact quote.
Right.
There.
He said, I don't have it in front of me, but we're communicating, but guys aren't freaking doing their job, which those statements kind of butt up against each other in terms of we're communicating, but we're not actually executing. Okay, well, if that's the case, how good is your communication? What I think the point is, we are, like, I think about the Mark Andrews touchdown where I see Minkah communicating to Cam Sutton about how to pass off that Zay Flowers motion, but it's not actually received and executed. So that kind of sounds more like the message is being sent out there, but no one's hearing it, is kind of my interpretation of those Elliott comments. And
Cam Sutton's been, coming out of college too, as a guy that, supposedly knows what he's doing, knows what the other 10 guys are doing out there. But, he very be interesting to see, because it's so hard to determine on the all 22 who's to blame on letting Kelsey run. Yeah,
how many times were Kelsey wide open? Not just a touchdown, which is the most obvious, right. But there was that. Was it the one clip that you had posted where Roberts and Queen went the wrong way? That was Kelsey on the crosser. There was another a man blitz where Sutton blitzed off the edge, and it's man to the trip side at the bottom, and there's not 3 guys over there. There's 2. You had Minkah, I think, in the flat on Worthy. You had the corner on the outside. Nobody on Kelsey. He's wide open for 19 yards. Like, how do you blow a man coverage blitz? I mean, it's as simple as it can be. I mean, they are blowing the most simple coverage. It's not like Pittsburgh's playing with like the super complex match coverage where we're going to carry these guys and it's super in the weeds and we're, communication issues can pop up because we have to really be precise and all see it at the same time. Like, there's spot drop, man coverage, spot drop zone, man coverage defense. How do you miscommunicate on like basic high school level principles?
Yeah, yeah. Look, Terrell Austin deserves some shrapnel within all this, and he's obviously getting it. And Mike Tomlin as well too. Makes you kind of wonder. I think probably the most alarming thing was the thing that adjustments not the statement that adjustments not made.
Yeah. I don't know exactly
It's hard.
what to
It's
make
hard
of that.
it's hard to dive deep into that, but
obviously there's an implication, at least from an outsider perspective, about coaching whenever Elliott made that comment, for sure.
Right.
Anything else here defensively? I mean, there isn't a whole lot of depth to explore because the issues are so obvious and so surface level. Any bright spots in this game, just to briefly entertain those?
I thought Alex Highsmith played pretty good once again. Let's see. PFF just released their grades. They gave, let's see.
Cam Heyward had a good game. He had a tasty matchup against that Caliendo backup left guard. Hayward probably, I'm guessing, had one of the highest grades here.
Yeah. Too bad he didn't get that one sack of Mahomes when he was stepping up. That one would have made it even better. Yeah, Cam Heyward 90.1. They gave Trice 83.9. Alex Highsmith third at 78.5. And I thought at least in the quick run throughs that to me, Alex stood out the most on the defensive side of football.
What are some of the lowest grades? Any of the lowest grades?
Dante Jackson, 38.5, mostly because of coverage. You got a 35.1 score on that. Montravius Adams, a low score. Herbig, 50.5. Peyton Wilson, 50. I mean, we're in it doesn't matter range. Once you get past, they're top 5 graded guys. And Loudermilk only played 6 snaps, so I'm not going to count him. Heyward, Trice, Highsmith, Minka, TJ Watt were your top 5.
Yeah, I mean, you had some of the, I don't know, I wouldn't call anyone had a great performance. Heyward probably the best. I mean, some of those guys, your bigger name guys weren't awful in this game, but it's a team effort to stop a team like the Chiefs and Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin had talked to Bob Labriola, that weekly interview he does. He gets released the day of the game. I think it happens a couple days prior, but he talked about you really can't play much zone against Mahomes and Kelsey, and they played a lot of zone. Well, I don't want to say they played a lot, but they certainly played some level of zone in this one, and that's when I think Mahomes really had a lot of success in this game. So I know Tomlin's answer to that would be you have to mix up coverages and you can't just do one thing the entire day, and that's fair. But if you're going to play spot drop zone against Mahomes, you're going to get what you're going to get, which is not anything good for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you better tackle the catch, and you better force it on third downs, and then try to get off the field. If you're going to dig, because Mahomes is going to get his. They are. I went into this knowing that they were going to move the football. It was just a matter of where the Steelers are going to get enough third down stops and get off the field outside the red zone and force more field goals than touchdowns, and be able to keep this thing close and get it into the fourth quarter.
Agreed.
You're not going to shut that offense down. And then obviously if you play man, you got to worry about Mahomes taking off with the football. And, there's probably 2 or 3 plays in a game that you can count on Mahomes doing some of those Mahomes things. And he did do this and this one. And, you obviously didn't get a call on one of those balls, but, props to them on top of it there too. There was that questionable catch over there. Ball obviously looked like it hit the ground. The Steelers didn't get the challenge flag quick enough, and they knew they were smart enough to get to that line quick enough and get the next play run where you don't get a chance. That's what good teams do. They take advantage of that stuff, and they overcame their own penalties on top of it there. In case you're curious, and not that it matters and not that it's gospel here, but PFF gave that one touchdown to Kelsey to Sutton.
That would make the most amount of sense. Although PFF often charges the player closest to where the catch
Right.
was made. So it can be a little tricky, and that's why I rely on our charting. But it would make sense based off my initial view of the play. Yeah, it was a great job by the Chiefs there. That was not a catch. It was clearly, I think, not a catch. I think it would have been easily overturned. And so, yeah, they did a great job to have a play ready to get that one off. But like, you still had some time to challenge. You're at home, like you're the home team. You should be able to facilitate these challenges and this communication a whole lot easier than you might be able to on the road in the opposing venue. And so Pittsburgh can't streamline that. When players are, pointing at the ground and showing immediately that a pass was incomplete, and there's no way to get that call into Tomlin quickly enough. Like Tomlin talked about, streamlining and replay assist and issues they had earlier this year, and that's a moment where, yeah, the Chiefs did a great job, but Pittsburgh, again, one step behind, whether that was on the field in terms of the actual players or in that case, being out coached, where the Chiefs get a snap off and really steal a reception, which was a meaningful catch downfield.
What else on defensive side of football here?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
You hated to see that one float right through Queen's hands up in the air.
Yeah, Pittsburgh tried to defend the quick game with some of those, getting your hands up and swatted that one. Yeah, got to capitalize. This defense, like you said, this team can't be, -2 in the turnover differential and expect to beat anybody, much less the Chiefs. Pittsburgh, prior to their losing streak, were +17 in turnover differential. Over the last 3 games, they're -2, and so that's not conducive to most team success, and certainly not Pittsburgh's success.
All right. Yeah. They got ate up on the defensive side, not only with the paper cutting, not only with the quick game, got beat down the field on the one from to Watson on Jackson, and 4 or 5 in the red zone.
Yeah, that's a number that really sticks out. To be 4 or 5 in the red zone was abysmal. And again, the Chiefs came into this game something like 26th ranked red zone offense, I believe, and so they weren't finishing drives throughout the year, but they finished darn near every one of them, and that's been again the theme for Pittsburgh's defense post-bye.
All right.
Going over to the offense, and not a whole lot better there. The numbers will certainly be deceiving. They rushed for 202, but it was not a 202 rush yard kind of day for the Steelers. They ran the ball late, and the Chiefs were just letting them have it. The turnovers again. It's just it's the 2 of them, but the one early one, Russell Wilson picked in the end zone, and that one's been talked about a lot here. I'll have to go back and double check it. I think that was the same play they hit Skoranek on for that first down against Baltimore. You fake the toss and try to run those vertical concepts and hit the seam. And Russell Wilson wanted Pat Freiermuth on that bender. Number 3 coming right to left, and it's supposed to be 4 verticals and Pickens on the backside. Cuts his route off. He runs a curl. The safety's not influenced and squeezes the throw to Freiermuth, and Justin Reed picks it off. And postgame, Russell Wilson talked about that he expected and thought that Pickens was going to run vertical. Pickens didn't. Just kind of walk me through your thoughts on that play, Dave.
There is a lot to chew on. We could spend 30 minutes on that. First and foremost, they did a great job of jamming Pickens at the line. Second of all, there's so much before Wilson gets rid of the football. For one thing, the ball, and Dan Orlovsky pointed this out, is a middle spot. I mean, it's right in the middle of the field. You wish that it would have been on a hash type situation to split the field up unevenly a little bit more, maybe give you a little bit more spacing on that. Russell Wilson has to fake that pitch on top of it and then get his eyes back around. He doesn't even look backside there. It's a whole kind of trust situation from the snap to the time that he delivers the football. In other words, it's supposed to go this way. I'm going to trust that that the backside guy Pickens is going to get off the line and keep that safety on that side occupied there. He probably, there's no way that he even knew, unless he's got great peripheral vision, that Pickens didn't even really get off the line there. But in the flip side there, he's looking downfield. You got to see that backside safety's not occupied and able to break towards in other words, go elsewhere, take his eyes elsewhere in that situation there. I think also you've got a situation that you had a touchdown, you had a holding call on that, backed it up. I imagine Russ is trying to be a hero in there and make a play happen. And he thought he could squeeze it in there, give and he talked about, give Pat Freiermuth a opportunity to make the play. But yes, there should have been a route going vertical to help occupy that safety, but in that split second there, he's got to realize that the safety is not occupied. And he probably need to swing that thing out to the right side to Jaylen Warren. Take the check down, live to fight another day or another play in that situation there. So there is a lot to go around with and then it starts too once again with the position of the ball on the field. The field split evenly. If it's more to the other hash there, it maybe gives you another yard or two to maybe kind of squeeze that thing in there. But it would have that ball would have probably had to come out a little bit quicker and be a little bit more towards Freiermuth to even have a chance at that being completed. So it was really a no-win situation the moment that Pickens did not get off the line and start carrying that down, and Russ has just got to see that and either eat it for a sack or get that ball out to the right to Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, that's fair. Wilson's assuming that backside safety is going to be held by Pickens being vertical, and that's going to create the space on that four vertical concept. But you know the old saying of what happens when you assume, and you didn't check to make sure that safety, because even if hypothetically Pickens ran the right route, that safety just cheats and for whatever reason doesn't pay attention to Pickens, you still have to check that safety and make sure that that you're clear to make that throw. But what do you think happened with Pickens on that play? Why did he shut that route down? Did he just run the wrong route? He got obviously pressed by McDuffie, but you can still run that vertically. He still just completely just ran a 5-yard curl. What happened there?
I thought he got jammed perfectly, and I think he kind of maybe shocked him, and then.
But he stopped. Like he didn't because you can jam and then just run through the jam. But he stopped.
I mean, even at that point there, though, he wasn't going to occupy that safe. I'm not excusing him. He should have at least tried to carry that thing on down, But the whole timing of everything was just thrown off on that. That's why I said there's just so much to chew on within that. I mean, he got perfectly jammed and just said, I'm just going to run it out here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good corner, Trent McDuffie, that no one talks about, but he's a top level type of guy. I knew that'd be a big matchup. So I don't know if that was, because I know Pickens was very frustrated after the play. I'm not sure why though.
Probably just because of the interception, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was something else, but obviously just one moment of a lot of frustration on the day for this team. But yeah, that was huge. And then, as you said, Dave, you had the Jaylen Warren touchdown. That play before gets called back on the holding. I thought it was the right call. I know some thought that wasn't holding on Darnell. Darnell was trying that snatch and trap throughout the day and did not have success with it. So I thought that was the correct call to make.
Right. I agree. And I think it was, I think all of it compounding. I think Russ just said, I'm going to try to make a play here on what was it? 2nd and long, right?
2nd and 14, I believe it was.
Right.
So yeah. Well, again, if the play call works as intended, I mean, I understand what Russ's thought was, but
it's a good design. Safety. It's a good design, and if Pickens would have got off to the outside and been able to get vertical, you maybe hit that.
Yeah, but again, we're talking not just turnovers, which are bad enough for this team, but low red zone or low red zone turnovers. You had the fumble by Wilson on the 4-yard line against Baltimore on Saturday, and then you had the interception in the end zone here. And so not only are they turnovers, they're directly taking points off the board. What did the Chiefs do on that ensuing possession? I forget. Did they do anything with the ball after the interception, Dave?
What was
no,
their
they
possession?
They did go 3 and out. So Pittsburgh at least had a good sudden change. So it wasn't a big swing the way the Baltimore instance was with that 96-yard touchdown drive. But obviously you're taking points off the board there. And and that's critical.
Yeah, and then what was their ensuing punt after that? The Steelers did come back down and score a touchdown.
Yeah. So that, not that it made you feel better, but at least it helped. What didn't get as spirally and as out of control as it could have in that moment there, because it's 13 nothing. They pick off that pass, you're thinking, oh boy, it's going to be a 40-0 type of game. It didn't end that well for Pittsburgh, but at least Pittsburgh was able to get back into this one, and things didn't completely fall apart because of that one play in that moment, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you even got this thing at halftime to be 13-7, right?
Yeah, and it was 16-10 going into the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
now
there.
They were driving down deep at the start of the fourth quarter. That's why it's kind of kind of a little bit deceiving overall there. But I mean, it was still a 6-point game at that time.
Well, we'll just say 6 minutes left in the third quarter after Boswell's field goal. It's 16-10. So you're looking for that stop on that drive, and Pittsburgh defensively could not get that stop, and that one really, took away any hope that Pittsburgh had of getting back into this game.
I mean, even early in the game, Russ, tries to spin. Russ bailed on a couple of more pockets in this one. He's lucky he got that football back early in the game that he put on the ground. I thought he did a good job with his legs in this game. That's probably one of the few bright spots. Jaylen Warren, I kept hollering for him to kind of lean on Jaylen Warren more in this game. He'd get a couple good plays, and then out of the game he would go. One of the most confusing play calls, I think, of the game on offense was the third and, was it 3 or 4? And they put Cordell Patterson in and give him a carry that comes up short. And that might have been, was that Cordell's only offensive snap of the game?
I will check. It was his only touch. Okay. Yeah. Could have done with one less than that.
What do they have in his contract that he has to get at least a carry a game or something like that? Jaylen Warren was easily, and look, I know Najee, and congratulations to Najee, another 1,000-yard season, all like that. I mean, that is just, it's just participation trophies, based on the way this thing's gone the last 3 games and all like that. And most of his yards were in, he got a lot of garbage time as well too.
Right.
But I think even at halftime, Jaylen Warren, touching the ball. What did he have? 67 yards at half on like 9 touches or something like that. And, he's been a bright spot these last throughout this losing streak here. But then, they seem dead set on, trying to rotate these guys in, and it was really just confusing of why you running the ball in that situation, B, why Cordell Patterson, it has to be the one to do it as well.
Yeah, I can live with running the ball potentially, but the Patterson, put in the guy who doesn't have the sheer size and power of Najee or the explosiveness or contact balance of Warren. What is the benefit? What is Patterson giving you the other guys are not? And it's not like, Warren and Harris were super tired. They were passing earlier. The Chiefs had just had a long drive. I mean, it's not like not like both those guys, Warren and Harris, were gassed. And so, yeah, we're not running a charity over here. We're not just handing these things out. We got to give these touches in these weighty moments to our best guys. Warren was clearly the best guy in this game. And yeah, that was big. That was the 2-minute drive. Because you had to get points there. It's 13-7. The Chiefs get the ball at half. Even if it's just a field goal, you make it 13-10. You're really chipping into that lead more and more. And Pittsburgh had the punt there on 4th and 1. So no idea the explanation for that one.
And did that came after they had the too many on the field, didn't it?
No, that was the ensuing punt on 4th and 1.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so they did get the ball back, to be fair. So yeah, there was too many men on that 4th and 1. Pittsburgh got the ball back, 1st and 10 at the 49 with 2:07 left, and they went 3 and out on that restart. And
no, wait. Patterson. Okay, the 3rd and 3 play went to Patterson, and then on the next play was the too many men.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, so it worked out. Still, Pittsburgh's mistake of using Patterson there was forgiven by the football gods, but Pittsburgh squandered the opportunity. They didn't do anything and still had a net punt, and so a big moment there where. I mean, I'm glad Pittsburgh's defense got to stop me at the end of the half because I was thinking Mahomes going to drive this ball and get points here before halftime. Luckily, that did not happen, but still a missed chance here for Pittsburgh. And regardless of too many men, the idea of using Patterson in that moment is absurd.
Right after the 2 minute second play, after the 2 minute warning, after they got the extended drive on too many men on the field there. I like the concept. I like everything about it on the 3rd and 9, trying to throw past the sticks and trying to throw that, I believe that was the one to Mike Williams down the left side. And it was a great play. I think they tried to invert on that. And the other Williams kid, the defensive back, did a great job getting if Russ puts that out there about another foot, that's a touchdown probably.
Yeah, what's the old saying though? If it's in butts or candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas
every day. Yep.
And it was not a Merry Christmas literally yesterday. Yeah, that's Joshua Williams for the Chiefs. He's a long corner. He's from some at the Senior Bowl whenever he came out of Fayetteville State. It's the first ever Fayetteville State kid to ever go to Mobile, and really good kid. And so I was not happy for him to make the play, but it was a really good play.
It was a great play.
Him. Yeah, but on the play before, I believe it was the completion to Pickens where they tried to hold them up and Pickens broke free. They blew it dead for forward progress. Did you like the whistle there?
No. Oh no, I did not.
I honestly had an unpopular take. I think it was the right call. I think clearly Pickens was stood up and the refs are going to make that whistle every single time.
Well, I think in that situation, maybe I know you're supposed to treat everything equal and all, but how many times have we seen Pickens take that and break a couple of tackles for an extra 4 or 5 yards?
Have we in that kind of moment, like where he's getting wrapped up and guys are flying in to punch the ball out? I don't know if has done that.
Well, we've seen him get held up and break for an extra 3 or 4 yards down on the side like that. Yeah, we have.
Yeah, but not like in a pile like that. Not like maybe like a one-on-one situation or something.
Okay. I thought it was. I disagree. I thought it was too quick of a whistle. Let him play.
That's fair. All right. What else here offensively? I'm just trying to think about anything else.
I'm not saying he's going to score there because they hear the whistle and they're letting up and all, but I think he gets a handful more yards there.
Yeah, maybe that's the other thing too. Is that if this Pickens break free the way that he does, if the whistle isn't blown, maybe not because as you said, guys are letting up and they're kind of letting them go once they hear the whistle. So I don't know. I just thought it was. The way that the officials always call it, basically, where a guy stood up, he's wrapped up, guys are going in the punch, Pickens is not moving forward, then they're going to just blow it dead right there.
A couple of positive plays, obviously the deep moon ball down the left side to Pickens and the late hands, just a fantastic throw, fantastic catch by Pickens there. The 3rd and 12 was it to Calvin Austin over to the left side was definitely a positive, I thought. You quickly that was 3rd and 14 with 11:05 left in the 3rd there. They obviously didn't end up I think they ended up getting a field goal on that drive there. Jaylen Warren a couple of times dump downs after the catch, showed a lot of effort and heart the way he's done. Another thing we forgot to mention here was they obviously were without Chris Jones, so they got a bit of a pregame Christmas present, if you will, by Chris Jones being inactive, and I think Mike Pennell went out at some point during the game as well too. I kind of. They never could get in. They fell behind like they did and never could once again get in a rhythm of trying to run the football. There were some bright spots in the running game, but once again, they weren't able to stack enough of those together, and they were too worried about rotating guys in every couple of plays on top of it, and kind of lost the consistency aspect of that as well too.
Yeah, I thought in this game with Warren, at least you had the efficiency. Like the Baltimore game, the volume wasn't there. You really felt, and everyone knew that Warren was the more explosive back than Harris just overall, but you really felt the difference in those two guys in this game where Harris, it was a lot more. There were, yeah, and obviously the blocking can differ on a particular play, but Warren was hitting the hole. He was a lot more explosive. He was knifing through. He was able to bust through into the second level a lot easier than Harris was able to. The stat line is certainly deceiving for Harris to finish with 13 for 74, Warren 11 for 71. Warren was clearly the more effective player throughout this game, really start to finish. And the reason why those earlier run plays had success, Harris's run success rate, I'm sure, on those early runs were pretty low.
5 sacks of Wilson. Just that's the most in a game, right?
Most he's been sacked. I think any Steelers quarterback has been sacked this season. Yeah. Yes. As you said, it was good news for Jones to be out, but you gave up 5 sacks, and so it really didn't help you a whole lot there. Can only imagine what it would have looked like had Jones suited up for this game. So the tackles had issues. Broderick Jones was getting put into a blender by Karlaftis, and Dan Moore had issues, and Darnell Washington gives up a sack by Mike Dana off of play action, trying to use that snatch and trap again that failed, and so Wilson under pressure pretty consistently. I also just think, and again, I got to see the all 22, and I sound like a broken record as we do for the defense, but a lot of short yardage, third and short type of stuff where nothing comes easy for this pass game. There's no the boot game's gone away. It's not been effective. Play action's not been as effective in recent weeks. They're just not able to get those short completions to get this offense into rhythm on first down or to be able to convert in some of these third and manageable situations where that's why you see Wilson spinning out of the pocket sometimes because nothing's there. And it's hard to tell exactly what the concepts are watching the TV tape. We'll see the all 22 and talk about it more for next show, but just nothing really comes easy for this offense. And you watch the Chiefs where seemingly everything comes easy for them.
Or even the first third down of the game, 3rd and 2, a sack. I'm looking at the third downs in total here. The second one was a 3rd and 18. You had a 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 7, a 3rd and 3. That was the one that they handed off to Patterson. So they had a 3rd and 2 they did not convert. They had a 3rd and 3 they did not convert. They had a 3rd and 5 with 6:41 left in the third, sacked. They were either in 3rd and long or 3rd and short and did not convert. Let's see, another 3rd and 4 was a scramble that Wilson, I think, converted for 14 yards. A 3rd and 2. I mean, we're game's overtime now. Game is over at 6:09. Had a 3rd and 2 incomplete pass. So they were either in 3rd and short and not converted, especially in early in the game, or 3rd and long and having to rely on like Russell Wilson's wheels to get it.
Yeah, there maybe weren't a ton of 3rd and shorts, but there were a couple and they didn't convert on. And even the late games one where the game's over, like you should be able to convert a 3rd and 4 with a game over because the defense is basically giving you that, right? I mean, you can't scheme up to get that or on that first 3rd and 2, which was the sack, fumble there. I assume nothing was really open. Maybe Wilson missed something. I'll have to go back and watch it. But 3rd and 2, it's your opening script. Like, how do you not have a good call for 3rd and 2 on your opening script? Where we know what coverage we're gonna play. We're gonna call this concept. We're gonna beat their coverage, and we're gonna convert here early. Like, there's a moment to have a call that should be on the ready for something that at least is open. It's got to be 3rd and 2 on your opening script. It's not like last week where you got backed up on your 1 and Arts was talking about, well, that kind of gets you off your script because now you're in a specialty situation working out of your own end zone. We can't really use our script there. You're, it's 3rd and 2 at your own 38. You had 7 yards on first down, was a good completion, second run for just a yard. You're in 3rd and short though. There should be a money call there. It's nothing there. It appears for Wilson. He has to try to scramble. He bails and it all kind of goes awry from there. But that's the frustrating part. And again, 0 first drive touchdowns this season. One of 3 teams to fail to do so this year. The other 2 teams are playing tonight. So we'll see if somebody is able to jump Pittsburgh, Seattle, and Chicago. Pittsburgh has the second longest first drive touchdown drought in the NFL, only trailing the Seahawks. Been tracking that all season. So not that it defines this team to sound like Mike Tomlin, but Sure would be nice. And frankly, Pittsburgh's no longer even moving the football on these first drives. I think I have the stat of the weird. Their last time they got points on an opening possession was the Baltimore game in week 11, since they've had something like a missed field goal, a pick, and a bunch of punts. And so at least early in the season, they were, as we talked about, they were moving the football. They were extending drives. They were getting field goals, or at least not that you celebrate it, but punting and backing the opponent up. That's not even happening anymore.
Okay, you're not getting opening drive touchdowns. How about some first quarter touchdowns? This team, I'm looking at it right now, 48 first quarter points in how many games are we in now? 16?
It's 3 a game, averaging 3 points in the first quarter this season.
You didn't have to take your shoes off for that one, did you?
I think I had this stat at some point. I forget, but yeah, it's simple math.
And is it still 3 first quarter touchdowns?
Yeah, they haven't been scoring lately, so probably I hadn't checked it, but that's likely to be the case.
Okay, you're not scoring on your opening drive. How about on your second drive?
During this losing streak, Pittsburgh has been outscored in the first quarter, 30-3. But is it 3 first quarter touchdowns? Can we confirm that here briefly? I'm gonna try to pull up the touchdown log if I'm able to.
I know it was three for a little bit there.
It is still 3, Dave.
Okay.
Still 3. It was the Denver game, the Commanders game, and the Bengals game.
Okay.
That's it.
But Mike Tomlin tell you it's not how you start, it's how you finish. In
Pittsburgh,
it does matter how you start.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh is not finishing well either lately.
Right.
The Chiefs scored 13 points in the first quarter. They scored 13 points in the fourth quarter, and so they bookend their game by 13 points. Pittsburgh held them in the middle to, how many points? Just 3, right? Yeah, just 3 points in the middle. So you had some wins, although the Chiefs had some unforced errors with the penalties and all that kind of stuff that hurt them. But the Chiefs started strong. They finished strong. Pittsburgh didn't do any of that.
All right, the Freiermuth fumble. Got to switch that to the other hand, right?
Yeah, that was a good. I think Nate Burleson had a good point on that one. Just ball security. Pittsburgh's been sloppy. Like I said, turned the ball over far too much. During this 3-game losing streak, they've had more turnovers, 5, than they've had red zone touchdowns, 4. And so those are not numbers that lead you to success. And you had to give that up to give them short fields. Mahomes had a couple of short fields, the 1 punt return, the Freiermuth fumble, that kind of stuff. It's already tough enough to stop Mahomes at his own 30. Now he starts a drive inside Pittsburgh territory, becomes even tougher.
All right, and even though their third down conversion rate overall in this game was, what was it?
3 of 10 for the Chiefs, or the Pittsburgh at 8 of 16?
Steelers.
Yeah, 8 of 16. I don't know how much garbage time.
Right, that's where I'm going with this. I think 2 of those successes were, let's see, both of them were scrambles, and both of them were in the fourth quarter, I think. There
was a completion to Warren at the very, very end on 3rd and 2 that they converted on.
Let me see if I can find it here.
22 seconds left. 3-yard completion to Warren on 3rd and 2.
Okay. I don't know why that isn't marked as a success here. Huh.
Yeah, but on that final drive, there were, like you said, there were 2. One was a scramble by Wilson on 3rd and 4. So take those away, you're 6 of 14, which is eh.
Yeah, especially
Not
against
great.
the Chiefs, right? Especially down. Yeah.
Yeah, right. What? Not that it matters a whole lot. What did you think of Pittsburgh's approach to still? Well, I'm trying to think. Well, there was 4th and 2, 6 minutes left. It's 29-10. Pittsburgh punts. What do you think of that? And then, especially considering that Pittsburgh was still playing their starters and still throwing on that final drive, it doesn't really matter because the game's over. I get that, but I don't know what Tomlin's thought was. Like, are they trying to score? Or are they just waving the white flag? It was very inconsistent at the end of the game.
Yeah, did he change his mind or what? We're going to give up. No, we're not going to give up. I think Ross Tucker is the one that kind of brought this to the highlight on the radio broadcast, and everybody was talking about. But yeah, they couldn't make up their mind, I don't think, whether or not they wanted to surrender. They definitely didn't get the guys out of the game.
Right. So I think that 4th and 2 punt, and I know you're on your own 22. I know the game's over. You're going to lose the game, but it's a pretty cowardly punt. Like, you got to go for it. You don't trust your offense to get 2 yards here, which you probably don't, but
Right.
you got to go for it in this situation. And if you don't go for it, then why is Wilson still in the game? Why are you throwing late in the game? Why are the defensive starters? Why is Cam Heyward still on a 3rd and 10 with 4 minutes left? You get to pick a lane.
After an injury, yeah.
Yeah, after an ankle injury. I mean, I know he's a competitor. I know he wants to be in there. I get that, but again, Pittsburgh did not pick a lane. I think I'm fine with playing the game out. I'm not saying they should have pulled their starters. I'm not, but you can't then
go
also
for all
punt on
four
4th and 2.
downs. Right.
Yeah, you can't do both. And Tomlin tried to do both. And that just kind of speaks to, I think, this team being pretty rudderless and not knowing what to do and how to fix anything right now. Kind of seems to be the bigger picture.
I agree.
All right, good post Christmas Day episode. Any positives here offensively? As you said, Warren, a nice game. You imagine they're going to try to lean on him some more. I'm still fine with getting Harris's work. I think both guys complement each other well. I think it helps keep Warren fresh, but I think you'll see Warren get leaned on more and more. And we'll talk about future stuff obviously once the season ends. But are we really looking at Najee Harris going elsewhere next year and Jalen Warren moving from 1B to 1A for 2025?
Yeah, it is, and it's felt like that from the moment that they didn't pick up the 5th-year option, and B, they didn't get any kind of a long-term deal done with him, after, ahead of the start of the season and all. So you can easily retain Warren during the offseason here. You can go back into the draft and hopefully not in the first round, get complimentary body. They probably just need to cut Cordell Patterson. He's not giving you. I mean, let's talk real quick. I mean, this guy on kickoffs looks like he's running in concrete. And I think you had the stat of the weird of his kickoff returns.
Yeah, let me pull it up here. It's not good, and we don't talk. Not that Cordell Patterson is not to blame for the team's offensive woes, but he's not contributing obviously in a positive way overall. His kick return average this year. Give me 1 second. I got to pull it up, but yeah, Pittsburgh has not gotten the return on investment and what they were hoping to get out of Patterson. He's got 11 kick returns this year. He's averaging 21.8 yards per return. Among those with 10 plus returns in the NFL this season, their average is 27.8 yards, meaning Patterson's exactly 6 yards worse than that. And his 21.8 yards per return for return men with at least 10 is last in the NFL. So bottom line is Patterson is now again, there are other issues. There's a blocking component. It's not all on him, but we're not seeing this guy break a tackle or really show a lot of burst here that he's been known for in his very colorful and record-setting career with kick returns. He's not that same guy anymore.
All right, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but if Najee rides off into the sunset somewhere else, and obviously Jalen Warren will be back next year, you don't have, Cordell Patterson's contract is $2.8 million base salary for 2025. You don't have to cut him, early in the off season, but you should bring in enough bodies where you hope you can, by the time the season rolls around, move on from that.
Right. And just to be clear, Warren, as you said, is going to be a restricted free agent. They'll have to tender him. I assume a second round tender is what he'll get and should be retained. And so he is technically a free agent, but he's restricted, and Pittsburgh can easily bring him back. One would think.
Right. And it deserves to be brought back, all of that. It deserves a crack to get more playing time. Yeah,
for sure. All right, Dave, any other final thoughts here on the opposite side of the football?
No, just they've got this extra time right now. You better get in there and bury yourselves away and start trying to figure this thing out, because this is no give me last game against the Bengals. Even if the Bengals are out of it, they would love nothing more than to knock the Steelers off in the finale. And you better figure this out going into the playoffs. And I think the only real kind of bright spot out of this at this point right now, and it still is probably going to take you winning this finale, is that you might be able to go on the road and get a Texans team that's struggling as well too. So you talk about measuring this season as far as you got to get a playoff win. You don't want to have to play the Ravens or the Buffalo Bills on the road in the first round of the playoffs. Not the way you're playing, not the way you played these last several weeks here. So I think the only saving grace here is you put yourself in an opportunity because the Texans are locked into the 4th seed right now. They can't move from that. So can you get the 5th seed? And the obvious way to do that would be to beat the Bengals. And I'm of course assuming that the Ravens beat the Browns, and you don't get the division there. And the only other way, I guess, would be is if you lose in both or I think the Broncos would have to lose twice, and the Chargers would have to lose twice, I guess, something like that. But I guess that's the only saving grace, is that you at least control your own destiny of maybe where you go in the wild card round of playoffs, if that's a positive.
We were having a much different conversation than we had 12 days ago. Remember on December 14th when they were 10-3 and sitting pretty atop the AFC North, and life was good. Life was much simpler 12 days ago. And now we're talking about, can we optimistically root for the 5 seed? But no, you're right. I mean, that if Pittsburgh wins, they'll be assuming Baltimore wins too, then Pittsburgh will be the 5 seed, go to Houston for the wild card round. But if not, then they could drop even further. They could be the 6 seed. I think someone even said they could be the 7 seed. So there was no gimme here against the Bengals for sure. And if they lose this game, then there's a good chance they will be something other than the 5 seed. It'll either be the 6 seed going to
either Buffalo or
Baltimore. Yeah. So get ready for that as a possibility.
Yeah, and Baltimore the Baltimore's flying right now. Buffalo's playing really, really good. And yeah.
I had the stat, my article this morning talking about the Pittsburgh, because here's the thing, like Pittsburgh, they understand the issues. The issues are not mystical. Like, it's not mind-boggling of why they're struggling, but they can't correct them, which is even the more concerning part. It's not like they can't figure out what the issue is, but they don't know how to fix it. And that's the problem. But they just, they're fading down the stretch. And if you look at their record in December and January in this playoff drought, 2017 to present, they are 24-19 in the regular season during that stretch, including being 19-18 in December. And so Pittsburgh is really, early in Tomlin's tenure, they were generally teams that finished the year strong, but I wouldn't even just say recently, but over the last, 7-8 years, they are teams that typically limp to the finish line. The last year was sort of an exception. They win the last 3, but just by and large, this is a team that does not play their best football by season's end, and that's clearly playing out again this year.
Well, all the talk about Mike Tomlin for potential coach of the year can stop now.
Yes.
All the talk about Steelers could be a dangerous team if they get in the playoffs can stop right now. You're just trying to see if you can. We're back to what we were at the start of the season, where what's a successful season? Finding out who your quarterback might be moving forward and winning at least one play and winning a playoff game. And other than going to Houston at this point in time, you kind of wonder about that right now.
And I'm with you. I'm all for obviously getting over the hump of progress being defined as quarterback of the future, at least quarterback for 2025, and winning a playoff game. But I know how the narrative will go, just trying to work this out 3 steps ahead, where Pittsburgh beats Houston in the divisional round, and then they go out to wherever, Baltimore, Buffalo, and they lose that one. Then it's, well, Pittsburgh still can't beat the really quality teams. They're beating up on some middling teams, but we'll cross all those bridges when we come to it. I had a thought and I lost it, so take it away from here, Dave. But yeah, Pittsburgh again fading down the stretch here, no question about that.
All right, I don't have anything else on this. I've gone through the defensive all 22 one time. I have not opened up the offensive all 22 yet to dive deep into that. I will before our next show here.
Let's see what else do we have.
Did you recapture your thought?
No, it's I think it's going to be gone here forever. Let's see. What did you think of the Netflix broadcast? I'm a little geeky nerd about some of these broadcasting things, and had not been given this opportunity by you, I'd probably be sitting in a truck somewhere working on calling on doing a football game or something. That was pretty good. I thought the Netflix broadcast was decent.
I thought as far as the quality of the stream and all went, I thought it was fine. The little score bug thing was a little bit too
Yeah,
big at the bottom there,
yeah.
and sometimes they didn't have the down up there, or were late getting the down and distance up there, I think. Uh, just minor. I thought they showed some good, obviously good camera angles like any other broadcast and all like that. I thought the pregame show for what I watched of it was good and all like that. I thought it was produced well. I thought JJ Watt tried to stay as neutral as possible in this. I liked everything about it other than kind of a few minor things like the just a play by play info at the bottom there. I thought it was a little bit too big, and just put it somewhere small in the screen. Just show me the down and distance and score.
Yeah, it was too big and it was kind of bowed up like as a little Christmas bow type of thing, which I get what they were going at, but yeah, didn't like that. Did your stream, because you watched this on Netflix, right? I assume you had to.
Yeah, I
Not
had
me.
it both
Okay.
on. I had it going both on the big screen TV, and I had a browser open of it going.
Okay. Did you have any buffering streaming issues? It seemed to go obviously a whole lot better than the Tyson Paul fight.
I didn't have anything on the big screen, but a couple of times in the browser, it quit on me or whatnot.
Okay.
Because I had to minimize it because I'm trying to cut clips and all as well too. So I don't know, because you have a hidden window sometimes it pop. I don't know, but that was the only. And I think maybe twice, maybe it pixelated just a little, just a flicker or something on the big screen.
Gotcha. But it seemed overall they pulled it off pretty well, I think. Yeah, I watched locally, so I was just had it on TV and YouTube TV. I thought there was a lack of good replay camera angles for some of those close-ups. I think it was kind of a shortage of those where you get a big play and you wouldn't get a real good, how like NBC and Sunday Night Football get some really good close-ups. There were a couple of those, but not enough. That'd be maybe my one chief complaint. And then some weird things like the start of the game, or Josh Carney pointed out, Pittsburgh only had 2 timeouts. They showed on the first when the game first started, and they just kind of a bug they quickly corrected. But overall, it was pretty good. And so I imagine Christmas Day is going to be on a Thursday next year, and so probably be running it back with Netflix or some sort of online exclusive thing for 2025. Let's see, just quickly, no one.
Real quick, the Mike Williams catch that was ruled not 2 feet down, same foot down twice. Is that something the NFL needs to look at, or no? Or are you fine with it as is?
Again, probably unpopular opinion. I like the rule of needing both feet, left and right foot. I'm fine with where it is. I wouldn't change it. That's just I'm a little more traditionalist and purist, but I think left foot, right foot need to get both down, not just the same foot twice. And it's happened to Pittsburgh twice this year with Pickens and now Mike Williams, but I am fine with the rule as it stands.
All right. And it's happened more than just the Steelers, but they're obviously the most notable because we watch them week in and week out there. So just a thought on that.
You want to change? Do you think they should examine
the fan of you in the moment says, damn it, this is a second time. And, but I'm a traditionalist at heart. So when I sit back and take a deep breath and think about the history of the game, and I don't want stats altered, then you go back and say, well, how many times, just you're opening up a Pandora's box there.
Yeah, fair enough. I barely even remember any notable takeaway, but Hard Knocks airing Tuesday night, obviously before the Christmas Day game. I guess my biggest impression, and it's not really a shock, but watching the clip of the Ravens assistant, their analyst coming in and talking about Russell Wilson, that it's just 3 points and layup. He's a moonball guy, he's a check down guy. There's no intermediate routes. And so that was kind of their book and game plan on Russell Wilson.
And that was kind of the narrative anyway, right?
Yeah, it's not anything that the world couldn't have told you beforehand, but it was interesting to kind of see that perspective. Also interesting to see an analyst come in and talk to the team. It's kind of a merge of analytics, not just being a spreadsheet given to the coaching staff, but actually an analyst coming in and speaking to the players personally. Thought that was kind of interesting. I know the Ravens have generally been at the forefront of analytics over the last several seasons. Pittsburgh has generally been lagging behind. I don't know exactly how Pittsburgh operates, obviously, but that was kind of my takeaway as much as the actual message, but using a defensive analyst to kind of relay that information to the players directly.
All right, shall we get to some angry listener emails here?
Yes, I'm sure the C's are angry, I'm sure, Dave. But let's get some
right.
emails and close out today's show.
Oh, we got to do our picks too.
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, I guess we should do that.
We might get to the when's our next show going to be? Monday?
I have no idea. Probably Monday.
All right, why don't we save these emails until Monday?
Okay.
Because it will let more come in. They'll all be angry still, so the tone won't change there. And why don't we get to the rest of our picks here and then close this one out that way?
Good call. Thank you for the reminder.
Let's see. We already picked the Seahawks Bears game on tonight. We have the Chargers at the Patriots. Chargers on the road laying 4.
I'll take the Chargers, Dave.
I'll take the Chargers. They need it. Gotta have it. Broncos on the road against the Bengals. I will be tuned into this one for several reasons. The Steelers got the Bengals up next, and the Bengals are trying to hang around in this thing, as are really the Broncos, too. The Broncos really can't afford to lose their final 2. It'll be interesting to see how the Chiefs approach them in the finale now because the Chiefs have the number 1 seed locked up. Anyway, the Bengals at home laying 3.5 against the Broncos.
Yeah, I imagine the Chiefs are going to rest starters. Andy Reid's personality, or Ross McCorkle dug into the data, and basically any chance he's had to rest guys he has, but that's all stuff for next week. Regrettably, I'll take the Bengals, Dave.
I'll take the Bengals late at 3.5. I think they're going to make a push for this and go into the finale needing to win. Cardinals on the road against the Rams. The Rams are 6.5 point home favorites against the Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals fading, eliminated from the playoffs. I will take the Rams.
I'll take the Rams as well, too. You're going to have to pick different on one of these here. Jets on the road against the Bills. The Bills laying 8.5. They still have to try to secure that second seed, though. They're not guaranteed that. Bills minus 8.5 against the Jets.
I'll give you one you might differ. I'll take the Jets to cover. Divisional game. Rodgers a little bit better. He's hurt, although I assume he's going to play. If not, then I may modify my pick after the fact, but I'll take the Jets.
All right, I'll go the other side. I'll take the Bills there. Appreciate that. Colts on the road against the Giants. The Colts trying to hang around another week here. Colts laying 7.5 on the road.
I'm sorry, against who?
The Giants. Colts against the Giants. Did I say Jets?
No, I just was half listening. I'm sorry. Just doing Facebook stuff. This is the game I will not be watching. I'll take the Colts.
I'll take the Giants plus the points, plus the 7.5. Cowboys on the road against the Eagles. Eagles laying 7.5 at home against the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cowboys they're showing fight. They're not quitting despite being out of this thing. I'll take the Cowboys to cover.
I'll take the Eagles to cover. I think I'm all on the. Oh, no, I took the Giants here. All right. Panthers on the road against the Buccaneers. Buccaneers laying 7.5 at home against the Panthers.
Bryce Young's playing well. I'll take the Panthers to cover.
I'll take the Buccaneers to cover the 7.5. Raiders on the road against the Saints. What a mess of a game this will be. Raiders laying 1.5 on the road against the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints being shut out. Everything's a mess over there. At least the Raiders have some fight. I'll take the Raiders, Dave.
I'll take the Raiders late 1.5 with you. Titans on the road against the Jaguars. Jaguars laying 1 at home against Tennessee.
Give me the Titans.
I'll take the Titans plus 1. I think they win it outright. Miami Dolphins on the road against the Browns. Dolphins laying 6.5 on the road against Cleveland.
Take Miami.
I'll take Miami as well, too. Green Bay on the road against the Vikings. This one should be a good one. Packers laying 1 on the road against Minnesota.
Yeah, really going to be weekend game of the week for sure. I'll take Minnesota.
I'll take the Packers late 1 point. Falcons on the road against the Commanders. Commanders laying 4 at home against Atlanta and Penix.
Yeah, Penix, good first start, but the Commanders a lot tougher than the G-Men. I will take Washington.
I'll take Washington late 4 with you, and then that leaves us the 49ers hosting the Lions. The Lions are 3.5 point road favorites against the 49ers.
Take the Lions, Dave.
I'll take the Lions as well too. All right, that has our picks rounded out for the week. We will be back on Monday with the all 20 week. By then we'll have it watched like 10 times with that amount of time there. Talk about that. We'll get to emails. We'll start looking ahead to the game against the Bengals. We'll recap what happened in the NFL for the rest of week 17. You can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. Happy holidays to everybody. Sorry we couldn't deliver better news today. We'll get back after this thing after the weekend here. And with that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.